Oh, hello and welcome back to the channel. Got Volvo work to do today. Unfortunately, it's failed its MOT. Very annoying. Nothing too dramatic, to be fair, just done a couple of things. Tyres on the front, discs, well, pads mainly, pads were too low, and the drop links for the anti-roll bar on the rear. So I'm going to be doing that job today, just the drop links on the rear, because I've got the parts, I haven't got the rest of the parts yet. So we'll get that done. Now, as you can see, it is, well, I guess you can see, I don't know actually, can you? Yeah, it's suspended in the back. Now we'll show you where the actual, where's my torch? There it is. No, that's not, there it is. Now, I'll show you what the actual part thing. Oh, don't even know why I got the torch, probably don't even need it. But these ones here. So it's the drop link. So that one's actually okay, and you can see the difference. The bottom is actually just sheared off completely. So that's what we're going to be changing. Now, one thing to note with these, there are actually two different types. So I've learned from when trying to find what the actual part is. Two came up for the same car. Now, this is, I'll show pictures of the different types, but I believe one's actually, the ones I've got, I think they're a Ford part, but I'm not too sure. So anyway, this is one of them. And this is the other one. So as you can see, there are quite a considerable difference, even though they are in the same place, they do exactly the same job, but they are very different. So just worth popping your head under, just checking to see which one you actually need. Now, it's quite obvious I required this one. Now, I do believe this is more of a Ford part than a Volvo part. I'm not too sure. Of course, this is based on a Ford Focus chassis. So quite simple to fit, actually. You just got the nut at I think that sits like that actually, so the nut, or like, I don't really know, I'll have a look, but yeah, just simply slides through and then it all bolts back together again. It's worth taking it off the ground. You don't need to take the wheels off, but just sort of suspend it off the ground so it takes the pressure off the anti-roll bar there. So we'll get cracking with that. I've sprayed some penetrating fluid on there for now, just so hopefully it sort of makes it a bit easier, because I have looked at the nuts at the top and they are very, very rusty. So we'll have a quick look just to see. So I'll be doing them both. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this one, but I'm going to put two new ones on anyway. But as you can see, so there's the nut just at the top there. So the nut comes off and then this whole thing just drops through and then everything comes away. And of course, it's just putting back together in reverse order. So that one theoretically should just pull out the top, really, because there's nothing holding it in place. So we'll do that one first, because that is the broken one, and then we'll see how we get on. But hopefully it all just comes apart nicely now that it is suspended on axle stands. But yeah, let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Right, so now normally that would just sort of pop right at the top, but unfortunately the way it's sheared off, it's sort of catching still, so it's just not going to be easy. I mean, worst case, I'll just grind the top off and we'll take it out that way, but I can have a fiddle with it, see if I can take it out. But basically all I need to do is just knock it from that way and then the whole thing goes up. I've taken the one end off and they don't look too bad, unfortunately. It's these bushes that usually perish, but it's just the head of the bolt snapped off there, so it's obviously not working, but we'll try and knock that through somehow. If not, we'll grind it off. Hoping that will be easier, because you just get a spanner on that end, a nut on that end, a bolt on another spanner on that end, and it sort of hopefully will come off. But it's gonna be a pain. Never easy though, is it? Never easy. Right, it's been a pain in the ass. I'm sick of it, so I'm just gonna grind the bloody thing off. Be easier. Oh. Right. There's always one way to do it anyway. Right, and there he is. That's the remains. So just grinded the top nut off there, and then the whole thing dropped through, and it's a bit warm still, so we don't grab hold of that. And as you can see now, that is completely free, so the new one can go in. So I'm just going to clean that up a bit, wire brush it, see if it's all right, and then yeah, just copy that one, put it back, and then that'll be that. All sorted. Now, when putting this thing back, you know, usually you just go in reverse order, but if you have had to cut it off, I mean, you can always copy the other side if it's still intact. But as on the other side, it just basically sits in like this. So that middle section will go just under here and sit in there with the bottom arm. And then nut on the top, bolt straight through the bottom there, up all through the middle, and then it holds it all together. And then once it's tightened down, it'll support the anti-roll bar. So that's what we're going for. So just basically copying that side. So we're going to get that in now. Hopefully it supports it nicely. I'm going to split it up into 3 sections so it makes it a bit easier to demonstrate. But this centre bit being the first part. So that is just going to go in quite simply. No, I'm not even looking at it. And then sit, if it will. You might need to sort of use something to pry that down, but that's going to sit just above it on the bottom arm there, and it'll sit snug in place. I'm not going to be able to do that without prying it, so I'm going to have to use 2 hands and just get that under there first. Right, so that's in there now, as good as lined up. We'll see if we can. You see that just sort of sits in the hole there. It's a tapered edge, so it sits in nicely. And then all you want to do then is get the bolt with that end in, go straight up the top, all the way. Hopefully it is lined up. And there we go, that's coming out the end, at the top bit. And then simply get your last rubber or plastic. These ones are plastic, those ones are rubber. I don't know why. Simply pop him on top. And then your nut. I've got much space really. Your nut on top of that. Make sure it's the right way. And then we'll tighten that down. And then that is pretty much it. So we'll get that tightened down now. And yeah, that should be it. Right, and that is all done. That is on there. It's tightened up. Now it has got a nylock nut at the top there, so I'm not over tightening it because all it's going to do is compress, especially if you're using rubber ones. These are actually plastic bushes, but the rubber ones will compress to the point where you'll just keep tightening it. So possibly before it sheared off, it was why it sheared off, it was over tightened last time. So it doesn't need to be ridiculously tight because it's not going to wobble loose anyway. So that's on there. It looks good. It's neat. I've actually decided against doing this side. I have looked at it, and the bushes are absolutely spot on, and it's not sheared off. So what I'm going to do is actually leave that one in place because I've got another one, and if these ever do it again, sort of 6 months or a year down the line, I've got another one to replace it with. Rather than taking a good working one off, there's no point because it's actually fine. So that's it. I'm only going to do the one today, and it's done. And as you can see, it reflects that one. Make sure you get them all the right way round. And like I say before, God, they could roll out. Just make sure you're getting the actual the right drop link, because there are 2 different ones for this vehicle. But yeah, that is absolutely it, and that's all I'm going to do. So that is how you do the rear drop links for the anti-roll bar on a Volvo V50. So I've got to do the next stuff now. I think I'll do the discs because they've just arrived. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this does help somebody out. A very simple job, to be fair. There's no not much tools required. I think all I used, of course, apart from the grinder, just the 16 and 17 mil spanner and a bar there with a ratchet just in case I needed it, but didn't need it. And it was absolutely fine, that was all. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Cheers.